rising up, we're taking stand. Voices loud, united we expand. With every step, we're breaking chains. Together strong, we'll face the rain. Hold your head high, not to spark. This is our time to leave a mark. It takes a village to hear the call. Stronger together, we won't fall. Because for all means for all. Stand with me now, let's break down the walls.
Let's go ahead and get started if you guys are down with that. Welcome, everyone, to It Takes a Village, where we sit down with candidates from all over the country to discuss a wide range of issues brought by you, the viewer. I am your charming and furious host, Political Jess, and I'm not going anywhere. Before we get started, let's go over some guidelines. If you have a question for our amazing candidate, please request up. You will be allowed one question and one follow-up, and our guest will have about 2 minutes or so to answer. I don't really time you, by the way.
Okay.
18 plus only.
That's good to know.
Yeah. 18 plus only, minor safety, stick to current events. Remember, we are not a debate stage. There are so many places that you can do that on this app, and this ain't it, fam. Please be respectful of these amazing people who are working so hard to make our country work for all of us. Failure to do so will result in your immediate ejection. Also, while we're chatting, please be tapping and share out the live. This helps push our live out to the FYP and gets more eyes on these amazing candidates who need some extra support. Also, there are some new little trinkets in our subsection for your viewing and use enjoyment. It's stickers, y'all. Superfans get access to exclusive polls and threads related to the show, and there may even be a swanky sticker for our next guest. And look, folks, I know it's incredibly tempting to gift and shower these amazing candidates with love through TikTok, but this app does take quite a large percentage when you do that. So although we enjoy them, we love them, it helps move our show along and helps us grow. If you plan to donate to our candidate, please do so through their website directly so they get a bigger piece of the cheese. Speaking of our guest tonight, our incredible guest tonight comes to us from the great state of Alabama, running for Alabama's 4th Congressional District in the reddest district in the country. Ladies and gentlemen, please give a warm and wonderful welcome to Amanda Pusczek.
Sound effects, I feel so fancy.
I know. There's a button for that. So, hey, before we get started and take our first question from Susu and the Village People working title only, let's start things off with a little icebreaker, if you will. I always hated those things, but, here we are. Lots of people run for office, and we've heard of the straw that breaks the camel's back, right? We are not being hit with straws. We're being hit with the whole damn camel. The whole damn camel all the time, constantly, over and over and over again. So, what was the camel that broke your back, that inspired you to run? And tell us a little bit about where you're running and who you are.
Ooh, okay. I only have 2 minutes or Jess is going to come after me.
I know. I'm just kidding.
So I decided that I was going to run when I stepped into the polls last year, and I basically had 0 options. I didn't even have an opportunity to vote for other candidates that I was opposing, that where I could choose someone else because there wasn't options. Like so many of when I went through the list was just, I guess we'll just skip because by golly, you're not getting my vote. And then the election happened, and that really cemented, okay, so we're going to run for something. If we're running for something, where can I do the most good? I'm a nurse by trade. I'm a nurse of over 10 years experience, and I knew that with what was on the horizon with Project 2025 and different things like that, that federal was absolutely going to be somewhere that I needed to make a stand. And so I did. And I started running in Congressional District 5, which is close to where I live. And something terribly amazing happened. I actually got asked by voters in Congressional District 4 to move districts. I know, your face, right?
Really?
Yeah, so that's what happened. I called my friend and I said, I've been asked to do this. I'm not sure how they would feel about it. I don't live there right now. You know, that's very intrusive for someone to come in who doesn't live there and be like, hey, I'm your first time you've had an option. Please pick me, right? and and we just had a really frank conversation. And I was like, honestly, I feel like this is where I can do the most good. And so here I am. Tell you a little bit about my district. It has very few resources available to it, and certainly not what they should be entitled to have. A lot of my constituents don't have access to internet and or they don't have smartphones. We have a lot of rural hospitals that are integral parts of the community. For a lot of people, that's their only access to healthcare. And right now in my state, 52 hospitals are at risk for closing after the big go. That means dead people, unalived people. I'm not sure if I could say that. Sorry.
Unalived, yeah. TikTok, we love the TikTok shop F1s in the chat, yes.
And part of the reason why it's so important that for my voters to get out is because it doesn't matter what party line you are. No one voted for their Meemaw to pass away on the way to the hospital, and no one deserves that. That's something I feel like that kind of crosses everything. And here we are, making a stand.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Thank you so much. All right, Susu, welcome up to the panel. What question do you have for Amanda today?
Well, just watching what's happened over the weekend in terms of special education in the education department, I'm wondering what your stance is on special education specifically, because I am a special education teacher, and just where, what you would want to do about this if you get elected up there, when you get elected up there.
We're manifesting this shit.
We're manifesting today, by golly.
Yes.
And if you want to help make sure that happens, my link tree is my bio, and you can always donate there. You can also go to my website and check your voter registration because it's super important. To answer your question, 13% of Alabama students are on a special education program or use the services in some sort of way. And for our state, where our funding comes from is mainly federal with a tiny bit of local/state funding. With the cuts to it, we were already anticipated to not be able as a state to fulfill our section of the payments. We were already anticipated to not be able to do that this year. So to then have the federal funding cut is going to be absolutely devastating. We've heard in several of our schools already that teachers are laid off, assistants are laid off. This is also for my state. They've already lowered the standards for what you need to have in order to be able to facilitate special education in our state. So a lot of the actual programming and the actual classwork that's taught directly comes from the federal level because they've already minimized how much education a lot of our caregivers have. And it's freaking devastating. It's going to be absolutely devastating. I was one of those kids where I still wrote my name Amanda with a B instead of a D up until 5th grade. I had dyslexia and no one even knew it. And it wasn't until 5th grade they're like, she should really be able to write her own name by now. That even a problem was even identified. And so to know that in my school system here in Alabama that happened, and now we're going to have even less resources, it honestly makes me queasy. So I guess my solution would be fund it. By golly, just fund it. It's so easy. It should be one of the easiest things that we do as a country is fund our schools. So that would be my solution.
Don't build a ballroom. Fund of special education.
Amazing. Is this common sense? I feel
like it is. Feed the kids and teach them.
Feed the kids and teach them. So weird. It's so weird, Susu.
It is.
So weird.
Yeah, my specialty in special education was working with dyslexics.
Where were you when I needed you? Thank you. Thank you for your help. Honestly, truly, it's something that definitely is passed down in my family. It's something that, like, as I've gotten older, I realized that my dad has it too. My mom probably did. So thank you. We are all just dyslexic people are over here thinking this is normal, and we need the help sometimes to realize that it isn't.
Sure. I know my daughter has it. I'm sure it was helpful for her, for me to be very aware of it, because I saw it when she was like 4. I'm like, oh, we're going to have issues.
Yeah. That's good that you recognized it, though, and were able to help her, you know. So
For sure.
that's
Well, the
amazing.
school system, well, anyway, I am not in Alabama. I was actually in Massachusetts at that time, which generally has pretty good special education services. I mean, they had their own laws before IDEA was passed that
That's
required.
amazing.
So anyway, I will step down and let someone else come up. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Susu. I appreciate you coming up. Okay, so while we are waiting for another another member of our village to pop up and ask you a question, let me ask you a question that I like to ask just about everybody that comes into my live that's running for office. So you have pretty strong convictions, right? But you are running in a very red district. So how do you stand on your convictions, but not disenfranchise those that see things like DEI as a threat to you?
Yeah.
Or do you even care what they think? I would love to know.
So there's a huge component that's missing in my district, which is education. And I mean that both in like the fundamental sense of like elementary school, high school, that kind of thing, but also just in like things that maybe you and I in this particular sphere, it comes natural to us. It's things that make common sense to us, but these are brand new ideas to my district. And so there's a lot of education that goes into that and having that one-on-one discussion. So what I mean by that is 80% of the US believes in congressional term limits. In my district, they have no idea. When I have that conversation with them, they usually say, but why would I want that? Which also explains why you have the representative for the last 30 years, right?
Yeah.
It didn't behoove him as the representative to educate you as to why you would want that. So when I go and I have conversations with people, what I usually say is, in that particular instance, is a House of Representatives member is a shorter length of time. It's only 2 years. The idea behind that being that the population in a small area is going to change at a much rapider pace, and that you need representation that evolves with that, and so that they can adjust for those changes. I also think that because of that there should be term limits. Because if we're talking about like the growth and change of an area over time, it's going to be very different from when you first start in office to like, let's say 30 years later. We're talking about a very different world. And at that point, you haven't been living amongst your constituents for 20 plus years. How do you understand what they're going through when your idea of their reality is from 20 years ago and you haven't been living with them since? So for me, when I have these conversations with people who are more staunchly conservative, a lot of it is education and pulling back the curtain and kind of explaining what my rationale is, why I think that, and then asking for feedback. If we disagree on that, cool, let's go talk about something else then. It's continuing the conversation and starting to open up those doors. That's what a lot of my work is.
I think that's great. Do you have a primary challenger? I
do. I have a gentleman who is also running. I've met him a few times. He hasn't said a lot to me. So I don't know. He might be just like super awesome. I think that right now he's right in the beginning of figuring out, running and figuring that out. And if anyone's ever run for office before, especially like the first couple times that you speak with someone, especially speak to a group of people, that's incredibly nerve-wracking.
Yeah.
So, I'm giving him a lot of grace right now because, boy, that was not so long ago for me, and it's rough.
I'm an actor, and I still get stage fright. Like I've been doing it for 30 years almost. Yeah, I still get that little in my stomach.
Oh
But
yeah, absolutely. I have to
yeah,
remember, and I think the easiest thing for me has been to adjust, has been, oh, these are just people. It's the same thing as when I'm taking care of someone as a nurse. They're just people. You
mhm,
just need to meet them where they are.
exactly. So I don't know if you know what the population percentage of LGBTQIA people in your district is,
Well, we know
but
that it's 20% of the country, though,
yeah. So I mean, we could just base it off of averages, right?
right?
But I do know that with everything that is going on in the country right now, there are a lot of very scared members of that community.
Yeah.
What would you tell them to give them hope?
Hi, my name is Amanda Pusczek. I'm running in your district. And guess what? I'm actually pansexual. I'm married to a man. I happen to find the love of my life in a dude, but I'm an equal opportunist as that goes. Bits don't matter to me. And I found love. And I think that you should absolutely be able to do so without any fear in this country or this district and be able to be fulfilled in the way that I have been. If you are a parent right now who is afraid for your queer child, I understand, and there's nothing I can do right now to reassure you and make things better. But I can absolutely promise you that I am going to fight because this is my fight too. And I will not stop fighting because human rights are rights. And this is one of the very basic ones that we should be able to do for our country.
Yeah. I think that there are a lot of cultural wars that are being stirred up right now. Things like, bathroom bans and putting the 10 Commandments in our public schools and things that are not going to make my property taxes go down. They're not going to give me health care. They're not going to make my life better. They're not going to lower the price of coffee at the store, you know?
Exactly.
And it makes me absolutely rage to know that our legislators are wasting not only their time, our time, but our taxpayer dollars to um, legislate these things that just don't matter to everyday Americans.
So
Um,
there's 12 collegiate transgender athletes in the entire country. There's 12 of them in the college level. My district and state representatives and federal representatives have spent hours and millions to get legislation passed to harm 12 people, but you couldn't figure out universal health care? I'm sorry. You have had so many years. It's very clear that if it's something that's on your agenda, you can get it done and you can get it passed with a swiftness. So apparently, universal health care and taking care of your constituents is not part of your agenda, and you need to go.
yeah, definitely. Let's touch a little bit on, while we're talking about this, let's talk a little bit about what you identify human rights to mean to you, and how do you plan to express that with the current political climate of Alabama?
That's a good question. So, human rights is pretty broad and encompassing, and I define it as that way because I do feel like it touches so many different things. So, whether we're talking about loving the person that you love, or whether we're talking about things like housing, I feel like housing is a human right. I feel like food is a human right. If it is basic things that you need to survive, then that is a human right. Things that challenge your basic right to survive, such as over policing and or limitations as to who you can be to express yourself as an adult, not harming anyone else, then those are also human rights. So that's how I define human rights. I realize that that may not be the exact same definition as anyone else, But you also have to figure that I'm coming from a nursing perspective, where I think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs, where at the bottom you have the basic necessities of life, or the bare necessities of life if you're a Jungle Book fan.
Bare necessities of simple bare
Exactly.
necessities.
And so down here I have things like, food, shelter. We also have things like community. I also include in that, because these are the basic tenets that you have to have as an individual or as a society to not only function, but to thrive.
Forget about your worries and your strife. Okay, that was fun. We could just go off on a tangent here. That was great. Okay, so how do you plan to build bipartisan support for issues like voting rights and criminal justice reform?
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of room to work together. I think that most people, these are very common sense things. We know that when we police people, instead of giving things money and time and energy to things like social programs, we know that they either end up with a high recidivism rate, or they end up institutionalized in these prisons and these jails for years. And once you do that, it's very hard to integrate back in, because you are literally carrying around the PTSD of that experience for the rest of your life. You're changed forever. And then beyond just the mental change in that, we're also talking about the economic impact of it, and that you are probably going to be prohibited from being able to obtain jobs for quite a long time. And then also your ability to just vote. It completely changes your existence. So when I think of things like crime, a Republican may think, that these rates are out of control or whatever it is. Republicans do a lot of strong messaging with that. But what I think of is, okay, but what's the root cause analysis? I think that when we have these conversations of things that we are wanting to work together with, it needs to be an open dialogue and be able to ask questions and dig in further, because if I don't have all the answers, I don't expect to, but I need to be able to ask you questions as the person on the other side of the aisle. Tell me why you think this. Tell me why. Tell me the logic behind it. Because if it's common sense, then I'm not opposed to working with you, because that is what a representative is meant to do.
So what would you say is your number? I know you're a nurse. So what would you say? Do you have healthcare as your number one kind of issue that you put at the top of your platform? Or do you have like a couple of issues that sort of share space for as far as priorities go for you?
That's a really good question. So I say that my campaign is built off of 3 pillars. I realize that my job is going in a representative right now in this particular space and time means fighting as much as possible to undo the damage from the big bill, right? That's what it means. Realistically, that's what it means. And I want it to be very obvious to voters that I'm always going to vote in 3 things, because they're my top 3 priorities, which are going to be healthcare and science, it's going to be human rights, and it's going to be affordability. If there is anything put in front of me that props up these 3 things, I'm going to sign it. Unless there's something a little sketchy on there, because guess what? I'm also an avid reader, and I don't trust none of y'all at this point, and I'm going to read every single line.
What do you think is going to be the first piece of legislation that you're looking forward to writing as soon as you get into Congress?
I think that realistically, unfortunately, I'm not going to get a lot of legislation passed, and I'm not going to be writing a lot of legislation. The reason why I say that is because there's already so much damage that we're going to have to be undoing. A lot of my work, especially for the first 2 years of office, is going to be undoing the damage that has already been done and refunding a lot of those institutions, those grants, the DEI initiatives, different things like that. And then the secondary thing is hitting a pause, giving a stopgap into between whatever is happening in the White House. I'll be honest with you, I don't think that Trump is going to carry on that long. I really don't. Just from like an outsider's perspective, like he looks genuinely unwell. He really does.
Bad. Yeah, he's looking really rough.
He looks rough, and I don't think he's going to make it the next 2 years. But whether or not he does, someone's going to be in that seat. And as it is right now, it's going to be someone from this administration and someone with ties to this administration. So if they have the exact same initiatives in mind and the exact same plans, which is Project 2025, big surprise, we all know it, right?
Shocking.
Then that's going to be what my time is devoted to. I wish that I could sit here and be like, listen, day one, I'm going to hit you with some universal health care.
Woo!
Oh, I know, right? That would be
Yeah!
so sweet. Oh
Amazing.
my gosh. Like, that's the sort of thing that fires me up, and like that's the sort of thing that I dream about. But I also am a pragmatic progressive in that way. Like, I realize that's not the task at hand. And so part of my job also then, as someone who's running, is trying to make that super clear to voters. Like, I don't want you to be disappointed if I get into office and you don't have universal health care on day one. Because guess what? That is an absolute dream of mine, and I love it. But I also need to realize that that's probably not going to be where my time is allocated at first. And I think that hopefully by setting those realistic expectations and having a deeper conversation, then that it allows me to be a better representative. And it also gives the people who I want to vote for me a better idea of what to expect, as opposed to a bunch of feel goods and lies, you know?
I think that we've had our fill of that, if I'm being
I'm over it.
if being honest with you. I will say this though, I talk to a lot of people on this platform, a lot of grassroots candidates who are, for lack of a better term, they're just like us. They're just like us, Amanda. They are so sick and tired of the bullshit. They're so sick and tired of being lied to. They're so sick and tired of this system that only benefits a certain amount of people, and we ain't it. Like, why are we spending so much money in taxes to just funnel it up to the richest people who don't pay to support our roads and our healthcare and our firefighters and, you know,
And
all of
they would
these
just
things?
let go of another 1,300 IRS agents.
And
Like, it takes the agents, because we have to have these agents in order to have the time and the resources to really dig into these tax dodging MFers, right? Like,
yes.
that's what they're there for. That's what I want my IRS guy to do, as opposed to coming after me because I left off like a dot somewhere, right?
Yeah, right.
Like, take my money. Every dollar that we invest, they get $3 back. Absolutely. Come after these turds. Like, that's what I want to see done with the IRS.
Yeah, I think that there's a lot of, when you get there, there's going to be a lot of people who are standing right next to you that are just like you, who really want to have universal health care, and they really want to have like college education paid for. They really want to make lives better for all of us. Yeah. But there is
we've been a lot of us candidates connecting behind the scenes, and so like a lot of people don't see that up front, but I am very connected with both my local and state candidates as to what we can do to make sure that we're as efficient as possible once we get into office. And then I'm also in connection with ones across the country, not just in the House, but also in the Senate. The idea being is so that we can hit the ground running and be as productive as possible as soon as we get in, because as much damage as we prevent or stop from happening means that we can then have that time to really fight for those things that we want, because those are the things of the future. And I think that we definitely have a very shared vision of that.
Definitely. Welcome up, Lisa. What question do you have for Amanda today?
Hi, not so much a question. I just love everything that I'm hearing. But I do have just a few things that I just want to put out there. Every time I get a chance to talk to a candidate, I do. I would say don't be afraid to be called a radical, and it doesn't sound like you are.
Look at her shirt.
I think
she ain't scared.
I know. Right. So I think that a big, like something that Democrats, the party line Democrats, the establishment Democrats missed in the 2024 election was that Trump, some people picked Trump because even with his extreme views, something was going to change. And people are so sick of the status quo that they were just willing to throw up their hands and say, well, at least it's something, right? At least something's going to change, because I literally cannot keep living like this, right? People are struggling so much. And, you guys were already talking about it, right? This undo all the guardrails of capitalism that kept it fair, taking away all the federal employees. Federal employees are the champions of the people. They are the stopgap between, this extreme capitalist, these super greedy people that don't want any kind of laws or rules or guidelines or guardrails. They just want to make money, and they don't care who they exploit, and they want to be able to exploit people, and nobody's saying anything about it, right? So I think that we need to get people away from this idea that Republicans have ingrained into the body politic, ingrained into our society of this extreme individualism, and get back to our community and caring about one another, and the idea that all high tides raise all ships, and we have to start looking out for each other, and the idea that we already know how to fix the economy because we did it before, and it grew the biggest middle class ever, right? It was like an amazing
it's not
thing.
Rocket science. I know.
It's
I know
not
that's
rocket.
where Space Command's going, but it's not rocket science. We've done it before.
We've done it before. We don't. Yeah, it's not like, and that's what I want Democrats to do. I want them to say, look, it's not like we even have to throw spaghetti at the wall. We've done this before. We know exactly what we have to do in order to get our economy back on track, right? We know what guardrails to put up. We know exactly how the tax code should be structured, and that's all. We just need to go back to a time. They want to make America great again, right? Again, let's make the economy great again, right? So they want to harken back to the 50s and 60s. Say, great, let's go harken back, to the 50s and 60s and look at what they were doing to grow the middle class.
When
economically,
they taxed
right?
the corporations at like 92% or something like that.
Yeah.
I'm all for
Individuals,
that.
yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep, the individual top tax rate was 92%. That's not what people paid. That's what they started off of, right? Started off at. Then they did their deductions and all their things, right? And they, most rich people paid about 40% on anything over, I think it was 5 million or something at the time, or whatever, or the equivalent of what it would be today, right? And so they have to pay their fair share. As it is now, we are literally borrowing money to give them tax cuts. And that's why our debt keeps going up. We're literally borrowing money, and 70% of the money we're borrowing, it's coming from them.
Yeah.
And it's insane, and it makes you feel insane when you look at it, and you're like, nobody should think that this is okay, and nobody should think this is a good thing.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I think that you are exactly on the right track. I think that the way, your policies, your ideas, I think that you will do very, very well with people, and I can't wait to see where you go. And I will support you in any way I can from New Jersey. New Jersey's got a big election coming up. So I'm like really concentrated on that, right? Trying to keep the governor's mansion blue.
Yeah.
So yeah, but yeah, thank you so much, and thank you for doing this, Jess.
Thank you so much.
I just
Lisa.
love it. Just love that you do this, and yeah, it's great. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much. W's for Lisa in the chat, guys. That was amazing. Thank you so much for that. I'm going to bring up another guest who has a question for you. Possibly? Yes. Hello. She's having a baby advocate mom. Thank you so much for popping up on the panel. What question do you have for Amanda today?
Well, the question I have is, one, I guess, do you have any idea what the maternal mortality rate is in Alabama?
I know that we're number 3 in the country, and that statistic is actually from before Roe v. Wade was overturned. We don't actually have data now that happened a few years ago. This is pure speculation, but I imagine that it would be very easy for me to say that we're actually higher than that.
Well, you guys have a maternal mortality review report, so you guys do have the data is available. If you don't know what that is, that's fine. But I guess basically what my question is, so your state actually reviews every year the maternal deaths in your state. Your Alabama Public Health reviews a report and it publishes it yearly, and they're almost always 2 years behind. So right now they're publishing 2020 and 2021 are kind of like the data that they're reviewing that
I
they've
was
already.
right. It's still, we don't have the most accurate data since Roe v. Wade was overturned.
Well, you said you don't track it, but that's completely not true. You guys track the deaths. You guys have, like most states are 2 years behind. You said there was no data. There's definitely data. You guys track it every year. Every hospital in Alabama reports their deaths, and then you guys track it, and then you guys have an independent board of about 15 people who review each and every death. If that makes sense. That's how Alabama does it. So so I would definitely look into that if you're trying to represent that entire state. Now, 78% of those deaths were considered preventable. What are you going to do to help the women in your district, in your state, not die from preventable childbirth deaths?
So the first thing that I would like to do is just keep my hospitals open. That's the first line of defense to that, is keeping these hospitals that are at risk for closing open. With that being said, I'm a firm believer that abortion is healthcare. And I think that if we started treating and legislating it as such by codifying Roe v. Wade, we would have the available treatment then in our state to prevent a lot of these cases. The other thing that also comes to mind is we know that historically speaking, Black women and women of color are the highest people who die of these maternal rates. So to give you a little bit of background, for me, I went to the school here about 10 years ago. I went to a community college. When I was going to school at Calhoun Community College, I was taught that Black women and women of color experience pain differently. And so it needed to be adjusted how we engage with them when they come in and they say that they are pregnant and experiencing pain. So one of the first things that I've done was 10 years ago when I was in nursing school, I said, that is eugenics. That is incorrect, and we should absolutely not be teaching that. So I think that in our state, at least I can just confirm after my own working as a nurse, there's a lot of that preconceived bias that nurses are still carrying around to this day. Again, this was something that was in the curriculum and had been for a very long time, and it had not been challenged. This is only 10 years ago.
Amanda? Ma'am, I'm sorry. You're telling me your story, but you're not telling me what you're going to do to fix it. Like, no shade, no tea, but I know you've said Roe v. Wade 3 times. You've talked about abortion. I'm talking about women are going to the hospital 10 months pregnant, 9 months pregnant, 38 weeks, 42 weeks, whatever you want to call it. They've already decided they're going to give birth. They're going to give birth. They're walking in. They're dying. They're getting sent home. They're bleeding out 10 days postpartum. They're bleeding out 13 days postpartum. Because
that's what I'm saying. Is
right,
there's
but you're talking about
education that we have to do in Alabama to reverse the institutionalized beliefs that are already in existence.
So you're saying that education, because you didn't actually say anything you would actually do. You said that you were a nurse. You said that you were taught that Black women and women of color experience pain differently. That's fine and dandy to know, but I'm talking about what actionable laws or rules or procedures, because we got to first start at the fact that you didn't know your state tracked these deaths. So that's that there. So if you just don't,
I would argue that's
if you don't know,
it's 2 years behind.
Amanda, but we can talk about any year. In your state, it keeps getting worse and worse every single year. And this is just keeping it real. If you do not know enough about the topic and you have no plan for maternal mortality in your state, you can just say that. But I would really encourage you to, one, go to your own state public health website, because you guys have all of this data for the last 40 years of every single death in your state. And we can't have a conversation about it because you didn't even know it existed. So first, please look that up. Second, nurse or not, I don't care if you're a nurse, I don't care if you're a doctor. If you are trying to tell people in your state to vote for you and that you are going to make change, step one is you need to know what they're actually physically going through. And people in your state are dying. 78% are preventable. That's wild. And we're not even touching after postpartum. So we're not touching any deaths that occur when a baby's 2 or 3 or 4. We're literally talking about that time from labor and delivery to day 42. So you've got to do your research, friend. So if you know that your state is top 10 worst places to give birth, but you had no idea, you guys had a maternal mortality review board in your state, which you guys have had for 50 years, that is a problem. That is a lapse. And talking points are not going to fix that. So if you want to be elected, your best bet is to admit when you have no idea what's going on in a topic in your state and get educated. But these talking points have got to stop. They've got to stop. You guys have got to do better. And that's what people are tired of. People are sick of it. They are sick of it. Do better, ma'am. Say you don't know.
Can I just interject real quick here? I can hear your passion, and I definitely can appreciate the frustration.
We got to do better.
It's absolutely. I think as a nation we have to do better. But I think that Amanda is obviously she's going to look into this. She's not somebody who doesn't just, want to run just for herself. She wants to run for the betterment of her district. Her district has been underserved for 30 years. So
but part of caring about people is admitting when you don't know. If you have no idea what's going on, if you have no idea what's going on with maternal death, you have no idea that your state actually tracks those deaths and review them, then you just say that. And then you get back to your people. That's what we want in Washington. That's what we want. We want people to look you dead in the eye and say, you know what? I had no idea that was going on in your school district. Let me look it up, get with one of my staffers, give me 30 days. That's what we need. That's what people are begging for. I was born and raised in the South. We're begging for it. And you can do it, but we got to stop doing, and that is why the other side is winning. That is why they're winning, because they're keeping it 100 and we're not. We've got to do better. If you don't know, just say you don't know and do better. I'm going to go ahead and follow you. And in 30 days, I'll check on your page and see if you made a video about it. And if you have, I have no problem telling my 40,000 followers to check you out. But we got to do better, ma'am. You got to do better, Amanda. You need to look into that. You should know that your state tracks that. You should know that. You should know that. I hope you have a blessed night, and I'll continue to listen.
Thank you so much for coming up. And again, I appreciate the passion. So I think it's an awesome opportunity for a really important discussion. So thank you so much for bringing that up. We have another guest coming up here. Thank you so much for joining the panel, Fabulous, my fabulous friend.
Hey, hey.
Hello, hello,
Yeah.
hello.
How are ya?
Peachy
I do
Keen
have a
Jelly
question. I have a maybe.
Did we lose you?
I can tell you that, from being online pretty much every single day with lives and things like that. That one of the things that I see, and me myself included, speaking about just things in general that are out there, because taking a temperature every single day, I fatigue from the constant news cycle of just being, just splattered with just thing after thing after thing after thing. And when I see a candidate and I want to know, how is it that they're going to try to mitigate some of the stuff that people are going through right now? Because to some degree, I think a lot of us feel a sense of despair when it comes to just everything that's going and coming at us so fast and so furious. And we know that their strategy is to wear us down, right? We know that that's what they're trying to do. It's a form of torture, literally. And so, I heard the lady that was right before this was saying, they clocked it at 100% and they knew those talking points. They don't know those talking points. They actually literally lie all the time. So the fact that and I can appreciate that you may not be familiar with every single thing that's going on in your state, and you will, I'm sure, look into what that person said. But how do you try to give people, I knew you would have taken it just, you don't need to continue to, beat a dead horse. I'm sure you are smart enough to go ahead and do that. But how do you try to give people a sense of hope when so many of us feel hopeless? I guess is my question. My long way of getting to that one question.
No, that's a good question. So here's the thing. I would first say that if you're not connected with your community, it is absolutely the time to be connected with them. What I mean by that is like locally, right? Are you involved with any groups? Do you do anything locally? Are you engaged with people? The reason why I say that is because the big bill did pass, and the next 2 years, whatever that is gonna suck. It's just gonna suck. And if you're not already engaged with like on the ground, the people with you locally, like beyond TikTok, beyond just even, statewide, national, that kind of thing, that one-on-one interpersonal connection with people is absolutely going to make a difference. I'm a local 5051 organizer. That's the thing that we always tell people is make connections at those kind of events, and then don't just stop there. Go out and do something with it. Every time we give back, we also fight back. So like for my local area, a lot of our food pantries have been absolutely devastated. They don't have the funding anymore that they used to be able to continue that kind of work anymore. So sometimes I'm able to donate food, but a lot of times I'm just only able to donate time. And when I donate time, that gives hope to other people, and it also develops my community ties stronger as well. I think that right now, going back to what she was, that ma'am, I'm so sorry, I forgot her name, was saying about these sort of talking points. And this isn't a talking point. This is just the facts. If we don't go out there, we don't touch grass, then we can't be a place for other people to then have that sense of peace to be able to spread on to them. I know that probably may seem very broad because it is. This is an individual journey for absolutely everyone. It's kind of the meme of this is everyone's first dictatorship, right? And
I don't have any t-shirts yet.
Yeah. We're all trying to figure out how to get along, and it's not a secret. The Black Panthers did it. We've seen it time and time again throughout history that those sort of community connections and developing that with each other, that is where resistance starts, and that's where hope starts, because it's reaffirming that human connection that a lot of the social media and broadly on top the national politics can make you feel so isolated. So redeveloping and rekindling those connections with real people.
Mm-hmm. I think that you're going to, and I'm sorry for you, but I think that you're going to encounter a lot of people actually upset and taking out an anger that is misplaced on you simply because a person before you failed, or they felt that that person failed in what it is that they're doing. And the expectation would be that that's just going to happen more and more often. And I think that that's what we're seeing right now, is specifically when it comes to people that have been in the office or in an office of some sort, serving the community, or not serving the community, as some of the people that are in office actually do, because they take our tax dollars and actually only look over their own personal interest. I think that you're going to encounter that more often than not. And it's just, unfortunately for you, it's going to be something that you're going to have to deal with on a daily basis.
It's true. There's a lot of people who are very hesitant. I make between 600 and 800 phone calls a week. When I call people and I say, hey, I'm a Democrat, and that's one of the first few things that comes out my mouth, because if you're not into it, you should still know, right? I want to be very transparent with people. And there's a lot of people where that instantly puts up a lot of guardrails for them. They have like this feeling of needing to protect themselves, whether it's from the national parties, whether it's Republican or Democrat or whatever. I am not the one be-all person for Democrats. I am not the one be-all person for Alabama. I am someone who wants to desperately make a difference and wants there to be change and wants there to be the opportunity for voters to make a choice when they go to the polls. And that means that I'm going to be constantly learning and constantly challenging myself. And I hope to win your vote 101 at a time, if that's what it takes. Breaking those narratives and realizing that I'm just a person and I just want to do right by the people living here.
Well, I wish you the best of luck. I truly do. And I'll keep watching, and hopefully you are able to break down some of those walls that are unfortunately built so very high.
We're manifesting.
KKK already has my license plate number that they like to share around. If one-on-one conversations is the least that I can do, then it's something that I should be doing, and something we need to all do with each other.
Yeah. Well, I'll be sitting here rooting for you. I'm not in your state, but I will be rooting for you.
That's all right. Send me some positive vibes.
Always.
Oh, you got that covered. You've got that covered. Thank
Yeah.
you so much, my friend.
You're welcome. See you later. Bye.
Bye. Yeah, and I think that it's worth saying too that, we all, as it seems like everything is kind of falling apart right now. We all have issues that we are deeply, deeply passionate about, that we will get up in every restaurant, in every rooftop, in every soapbox and scream to the top of our lungs because it matters. Whether it's education access for disabled kids, whether it's healthcare, whether it's, Black women's mortality rates falling at an alarming rate. We all have these issues that need to be fixed desperately. But we all have them in a silo, right? Like, to me, it's something else. To somebody else, it's something else. And that's good, because we can't focus on everything all the time, all at once. You, unfortunately, have a great big job in Congress, and that you are going to have your hands in every single one of those silos. So there's going to be people that bring issues to you you're not, you're not going to have any idea about.
Yeah.
And the information that you may have may not be the right information. So it's really going to be important for you to have a really amazing team, which I know that you will have. I know you're going to have an amazing team. But it's going to be really important for you to touch on all of those issues. But everything's not going to be fixed right away. Right?
No,
Everything's
not going to be fixed right away, and I'm not a perfect candidate. I'm just not. I am just like everyone else. I am trying to learn as much as I can and as often as I can, and going to places and talking with people and saying, this is my understanding of the problem. Am I right? Am I wrong? Mm-hmm. If it is a problem, is there still one that's more pressing to you? So like, I'm having a meeting coming up with the United Miners, and my concern is, as a health professional, with like all the EPA regulation changes, that they are going to be dropping like flies from black lung at a much higher rates than we haven't seen since the 70s. But I also am having that meeting not to broadcast that at them or talk to them, but because I also don't understand literally any of their other problems right now.
Right.
I realize that I only have one small piece, and that's it. And so I can show up to places and learn and ask questions. And sometimes it's unhelpful, but honestly, most of the time it's incredibly helpful. And it's something that I need to keep doing. And I love it. I actually do.
I think it's great. And just a reminder, we don't want polished politicians serving us anymore, because all those people are bought and paid for by interests that do not align with the regular working class people. So you are a regular woman, and I see you because you are a regular woman. And I love the fact that our Congress and our halls of government are going to actually represent the people that live in this great country, instead of people who are so out of touch and have no freaking clue what is going on and are only beholden to people who give them money. So
absolutely.
Yeah, that is what I have to say about that. So, yeah. Ugh. So while we are kind of like getting towards the end of our lovely programming here, we're going to switch gears for a minute, if you don't mind. And I would love for you to stick around for a bit, okay? But we are going to switch gears for a second, and we are going to kind of shimmy on over, hello, Ron, into our Activist Alley section of our show. I got you, Kayla. I got you as soon as my button will work. So tonight we're doing something a little different. Usually for Activist Alley, we'll bring up an amazing mover and shaker. We'll bring up somebody who is boots on the ground. We'll bring up somebody who's working for, like, activism in the People's Sick Day or Black Out the System, or we'll bring up amazing content creators or businesses that help to really kind of shine a light on, how important democracy is. People who are on the right side of history, okay? But we're going to do something a little different tonight. I want to switch gears and talk about Prop 50, okay? Now, tomorrow night, I will be phone banking with the Blue Sue Group to talk to Californians about Prop 50. And I will be calling as a Californian who is living in Texas, and I will be expressing to them why this matters. And I will go ahead and Kayla, do you wanna pop in here?
I'm working on it. I'm having a little technical difficulty.
No, you're fine. You're fine. You're fine. This is called stretching in the business. This is, stretching. So let me go ahead and expand this here. Ta-da! Okay, so Prop 50, ladies and gentlemen, is a temporary shield against election rigging. It's not permanent abandonment of nonpartisan principles. The reason that they're doing this is because here in Texas, we have, I'm going to call him Roldermort, for lack of a better term, our governor, Roldermort. And he has decided to bend the knee to Donald Trump and take away the voices of so many people that live in this state. Marginalized communities and Black and brown people, their voices and their vote is literally worth less now than a white person's vote here in Texas. And that is absolutely unacceptable. So, of course, California and Gavin Newsom and all 50 of his shades has decided that it's not going to be something that happens on his watch. So he's decided to ask the voters for permission to redistrict California to add balance back to our congressional house. Now, something that is definitely worth pointing out is that Texas was the first state that this happens, that happened in. My state was first. Your state is next. Okay? They're not going to stop at Texas. They're going to keep going. And that's why Prop 50 is so incredibly important. They're planning to, it's supposed to only happen out during the census every 10 years. But they're doing it in the middle of a census. What's the word I'm looking for?
It's like the lull year.
Yeah, they're
The
doing
lull
it.
year. The non-census year, Dagnabbit.
Yeah, they're doing it when they're not supposed to mid-decade. That's right. Thank you so much, Ron. My brain has just decided to not work all of a sudden. So, for example, Houston's heavily Latino population. They would no longer be majority Latino under the current representation. They're taking a bunch of people of color and they're cramming them into districts together and blowing up the populations of those districts, and giving them all one say. Like that's it's absolutely crazy to me. So tomorrow we'll be joining the Blue Sue Group and we'll be phone banking. If you would like to join the Blue Sue Group to phone bank, you absolutely can do that. I don't know if Kels is in the chat, but if you want to take a look at Kels Kabibble, she's amazing. Message me if you want to join and I'll send you the information. Yeah. Did you want to add anything about that, Amanda? I know that it's not something that directly impacts Alabama yet.
I was going to say we're all kind of in the boat, right? We're all in the same boat regardless. And the fact that we are even having to do this, because I think that Democrats in California are kind of stuck in a situation where damned if they do, damned if they don't kind of thing, right? On the national scale as far as gerrymandering and redistricting. And I think that also speaks to the importance of making sure that we're running for every single one of these seats. It makes it a lot harder to gerrymander if parties and politicians and candidates would actually run for every single seat as opposed to washing their hands of it. I personally would love to see us move towards like a ranked choice voting system. I think that that's probably one of the better ways for democracy. but I realize that that's probably the least of our concerns at this current point in time. And I'm excited to see what California does. I hope it passes. I hope it passes personally.
I hope it passes too. Hey, Ron, thanks for popping up. Did you have a question for Amanda or something you wanted to add?
Oh yeah, I just sorry, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Everybody having technical difficulties today.
Hey, it's Monday. It's allowed.
Listen, I know I like what you guys are doing. I'm actually running for Congress myself here down in Florida, so I can
Nice.
tell you it's hard. I'm originally from New York City, and you know, Texas is not the only state that's doing it. North Carolina just announced today that they're going to start doing it and take one seat. Florida is thinking about it, but what I tell people all the time, as I go out on campus, that canvas is that we need to stay strong, because I have talked to a lot of Republicans and a lot of independents, and they're fed up with their party just as much as we are. And so the problem we have in Florida, which a lot of people has came to the fact of realizing, is that it's so much gerrymandering you can do. And what they start doing is start taking those bright ruby red districts and turn them lighter and lighter and lighter until they get back to purple. And so that's why Florida hasn't done it yet, because he has nowhere else to gerrymander. And if he does that, he risks turning the state back purple. Because remember, Florida is only 51% Republican.
Yeah.
And the other half is split between Democrats and independents. So it's so much he can push. So that's why I believe that it's good for everybody. Even myself, I'm going to phone make for California down here in Florida, because we need to take a stand as what's happening. And I'm glad that Gavin Newsom is doing what he's doing. And I wish that more states, and I just posted earlier, I wish that more states don't wait until states like North Carolina to do it, to say, hey, back at you. We need to take that stand now, because they don't care. And they're not going to care. So I would just like to say thank you for what everybody's doing. And we just need to stand up. I mean, like everybody's saying, these laws and everything they pass and don't just affect red states, although they benefit the most. And all us blue states take the heat for it, like California. They pay for like 3 other states' benefits.
Yeah.
And New York too. I'm from New York. We pay. Well, I live in Florida now, but for New York, man, we use tax like crazy. But then we realize that most of those taxes are going to states like Alabama, where like 90% of them are on these public services, and then they vote for a person who's trying to take away the very service that they need. And just mind blowing to me that this is happening, and they're not realizing it. And I'm glad the farmers are starting to wake up and be like, hold up, this is not what we voted for.
Yeah.
So,
I'm about to lose my farm.
Yeah, and another thing I wanted to say, on top of that, I'm a law enforcement officer down here in Florida, so I understand. I understand what's going on with this ICE thing. They promised that they wasn't going to touch any undocumented immigrants that wasn't doing any crimes, but no, they're literally going to schools, doctor's offices, churches, homes, violating the Constitution itself, and just dragging these people away. And at what point, as us human beings, is going to say enough is enough with inhumanity? And so we need to have change in this election. They're running scared. I'm just letting everybody know they're very, very scared. That's the only reason why they are redistricting. Because when you got nothing else to do, you cheat.
That's right. That's right. Ron, what district are you running in Florida?
So I'm running in District 6 against Mr. Randy Not So Fine, and he needs to go. Because he's over there telling children on Twitter and X that until, your country releases whatever, we're going to let children starve and die. And as a father, that hit me. And I'm like, yeah, that I'm crazy. He just called Mr. Zohran Mamdani in New York a Muslim terrorist just because of the way he looked. And that's a U.S. congressman. If nobody understands, he's a U.S. congressman. He represents 500,000 voters in our district. And one, he don't even live in our district. So the things he do in our district won't directly impact his family. So I think that's strike one.
Yeah. So I think that you and Amanda need to connect, because you guys may be serving together in Congress. I want to ask both of you a very important question. Have you committed to not receive APAC money?
100%.
Are you guys registered and endorsed by Track APAC?
Well, I reached out to them because a lot of my
as well. Yeah.
I reached out to them, but I'm 100% against that. No corporate money, no big dollar money. I'm going off just street grassroots.
grassroots all the way. So Ron, we should talk. I'd like to have you on the show. So
Of course.
here's the thing, guys. We kind of know how we all feel about big money in politics, right? And I'm going to say this for everybody that's running. We know how we feel about big money in politics, but that money has to come from somewhere, right? So whether it's your money or your time or, whatever it is that you can give to these amazing candidates, I would highly encourage you guys to give that, whether it's your talent, whether it's just sharing a live, liking a post, sharing it to your friends. You don't have to be in their state to contribute to their success, okay? And this success is dependent on all of us banding together and helping these guys get elected. We want Congress that looks like us, that acts like us, that works for us. People that care about people to govern the people instead of people that care about money. That doesn't really work very well. So whatever it is you guys can do, please do your best to share, do all the things. Amanda, your Act Blue information is right there next to us. So, ladies and gentlemen, please go and donate to Amanda. Buy her a cup of coffee. Ron, we're going to have you on the show. And we're going to have all of these amazing conversations, and I'm going to put your feet on the fire. So, I hope you're ready for that. Your mic is muted. Hang on, your mic's muted.
Sorry.
There you go.
I'm for it. Let's do it. Like I said, you're not the first person. I'm a Democrat running in a ruby red district, and I already got the heat, but that's okay. Like I said, I got thick skin. I was a paramedic in New York City for most of my life. I saw some gruesome stuff. I work in the South Bronx, and now I'm currently, as of yesterday, I'm no longer a law enforcement officer because of what I'm doing, as you know.
Yep.
And so I got thick skin. I got 5 children. We can do it. Let's go.
Have you reached out to Maria Lana Kinter and Bernard Tyson? Bernard Tyler.
Maria just wrote me just now.
Did she?
Yeah, she just actually wrote me as you just said that. She just asked me a question. And
amazing.
Yeah, I talked to her. I'm Mia Bernard, a good friend.
And Bernard.
I go live sometimes. Yeah, of course.
Bernard Taylor for Congress, guys. He's also
All
the
the
real
way,
deal.
firefighter. I'm not a cop anymore, so I can say that.
You can say that. That's fine.
He's not a host dragger anymore.
No hate.
We joke
no
with each other all the time.
We do. All right. Thank you so much for coming up, Ron. Did you have any other questions or anything you wanted to ask Amanda?
No, Amanda, listen, just stay strong. There's going to be a lot of people to get to you, and they're going to try to put you down, but it's all because they're running scared. These polls show the answer. You get what I'm saying? These polls show, look at these states that we won. We won deep red states. Alaska. We just won Alaska mayoral race. Think about that. Yeah. They're running scared, so don't give up. Just keep pushing, and they'll eventually see the hard work that you're doing, and you're going to get all the support. Don't worry.
I'm a psych nurse by trade, and I promise you anything that's getting flung at my way is nothing I haven't heard
before.
You got
it. Psych nurse, you got it.
Far less creative.
Well, I thank you guys for inviting me, and we'll definitely talk. Jess, let me get back to these kids. I just wanted to pop on here and tell you I love the work that y'all doing. So
thank you so much, sir. I appreciate you.
Absolutely.
All right. Yeah, Americans are speaking up. We are tired of this. We're tired of this shit. So that's what it's happening. So yes, I'll be phone banking tomorrow. Please reach out to me if you need some information about that. Phone banking is incredibly important. You can do that from all over the country, and it's really just kind of like a great big boost to your.
It's super easy to do. You can do it. I promise.
It's so easy, and it's wonderful to talk to these people. And, the worst case scenario is they're going to hang up on you. And cool. You just move on to the next one, awesome. But most of the time you talk to people who are really engaged just like you. And it's really inspiring to do. So definitely get involved with that if you definitely can. It's definitely important to definitely do. So definitely. Okay. Did I put the definitely on that enough? Definitely. So we are just wrapping things up here. Kayla, did you have anything else that you wanted to add about Prop 50?
Nope, just educate yourself on it, and it's going to be the betterment for the whole country, I believe. And Amanda, thank you for coming on to the show. And if you want to stay on after we close up the show, we can go through your technical stuff and kind of help you set up for your next interview.
Yeah, we could definitely do that.
Thank you.
Of course, of course. So let's go ahead and wrap things up here, guys. We're getting close to time. So before we go, let me give you the floor officially, Amanda, so you can tell people how to get involved and how they can support you in your run, aside, of course, from buying you a cup of coffee, which, needed.
Always welcome. Always
Yes.
welcome. Hi. My name is Amanda Pusczek. I'm running in the reddest district in the country. And you don't have to run for Congress to make a difference. If you're not already connected in your community, I highly suggest doing so. We know what's happening right now with the government, and we know what's happening in my state, one of the reddest places in the entire country. And that also means that we know the solution. And the solution is you've got to start resisting. If someone is challenging you, have a conversation with them, be open to them, listen to them, and be a space for others to have a conversation too. The second thing is we've got to give back. We've got to give back to our community and fund a lot of these gaps that are occurring for social services and safety nets that exist and keep our communities thriving. They desperately need our help right now. You may not always have money, but I know that I always have sweat I can give. And the third thing is we've got to fight back. And whether that's going to a No Kings event or getting behind a candidate and standing behind them with your full chest, there's 1,000 ways that you can fight back. And I look for different ways to do it every day. And I hope you are too, because it's something that we need to be repeating on an endless loop and looking for new ways to fight back and new ways to give back. So my link tree is in my bio if you feel like donating. You can also check your voter registration if you live in Alabama. If you live in Alabama, they are doing rolling purges on the voter registration rolls. So if you do not have it bookmarked on your phone, I'd go ahead and do it. It's bookmarked on mine, and I check it a couple times a year, and more so now than ever. And yeah, if you're interested in volunteering, you can always reach out to me on any of my platforms. Again, my link tree is in my bio. And there's lots of different ways that you can help me, hopefully. I'm terrible at ironing. If you have a dry cleaning hookup, that would be great. I realize that money and time isn't necessarily something that everyone can give, but I promise you, if you're willing to help me, then I can definitely find a way for us to get connected. So yeah, that's me.
Every little bit counts. Every little bit counts.
Yeah.
I would be remiss if I didn't send a special thanks to the amazing content creators who were here to support us today, as well as our incredible design genie, the Kayla. Please send them and our candidates some well-deserved love in the comments. And ladies and gents and everyone in between, this show is not about me or the Kayla. This show is about all of us coming together to make positive change. So all the things that I mentioned above for Amanda, the same goes for our show. We are still a baby endeavor. And we're doing everything we can to grow our presence so we can help as many grassroots candidates as humanly possible. It really does take a village, and we need every single one of you. Also, make sure you are still registered to vote. Keep an eye on your election schedules in your area. You can check your registration status by going to vote.gov. And I never, ever thought in a million years I would have to say this, but you're also going to need to follow your choice after you make it. Because with the purchase of the machines that is happening right now, we want to make sure that every choice is counted as it was intended. So they're doing some hanky stuff, y'all. Hanky. And it is not cool. So aside from that, this was incredibly inspiring. And I know that we have just an incredible amount of folks who are just very, very, very scared right now. But I want to remind everyone that the fear is the point. Okay? The fear is the point. The fear leads to panic. Panic leads to inaction. But hope and community are the antidote for all of it.
And reclaim orange.
And reclaim orange, for the love of God. So join us on Friday when we talk to a woman who's running, another badass woman, by the way, another badass woman running to for Congress. She's running actually to flip a Texas House seat on its side, and she's amazing. So I hope that you will join us to talk to her. She's incredible. Be sure to follow us on our Substack, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and the Tube of You. And if I could make a quick plea, we would absolutely love it if you just pop right over there and leave us a review. It would really help us get more eyes on our content and help more of these candidates. The dates have been selected for the People's Sick Day, and the time is now to get involved, to make sure that you join their Discord and join up. Do you know what the People's Sick Day is, Amanda?
No, what is that? I'm terribly interested.
The People's Sick Day is a 3-day economic and labor blackout. You can go to thepeoplessickday.com to check that out. The dates have been selected, but they have not been announced. They will be announced 48 hours beforehand, so it can be kind of like, a stealthy strike to put a wrench in this bish, okay? So definitely check that out. Everyone, thank you so much for all being here tonight. Thank you so much, Amanda. You are just such a breath of fresh air, and I cannot wait to see what you can do for the people of Alabama, because they deserve amazing representation, and I know that you're going to bring that, even if we're not perfect human beings, which really, honestly, who is? So, and why would you want to be? Right?
I'm certainly not. I'll
So
be honest with
boring.
you. I'm definitely not perfect at all or anywhere close to it.
But why would you want to be? I think that's crazy. Like, why would you want to? That's so boring. Like, so boring. Anyways, thank you all so much for being here. I really, really appreciate you. Please remember to take care of each other now more than ever. It is so important. Have a wonderful night. And that's the end of our show. Toodles! Woo! Hang on, I got a button. All right, thank you guys.
We're rising up, we're taking stand. Voices loud, united we expand. With every step, we're breaking chains. Together strong, we'll face the rain. Hold your head high, not spark. This is our time to leave a mark. It takes a village, hear the call. Stronger together, we won't fall, because for all